Hey guys, I'm Richard, and this is Downgrid Survival. Let this be a supreme warning to you that the States of America is on course to fall. United we stand, divided we fall, and we are a divided nation. So that's why I refer to it as the States of America. And I tell you what, it's getting close. I want to talk to you for a moment about what's going on at the Supreme Court, what's going on with the Constitution. And before we get to that point, let's back up for a moment. Let's back up and think about the Constitution and when it was written. If you know your history and you know just a little bit about the Constitution when it was written, our forefathers, they were truly inspired when they wrote that document. Despite the fact that the Constitution over the years has been amended a few times, right? Quite a few times, actually. But that document was written for a free nation and a free people, giving us rights. It lays out it lays out our republic, and how our democracy works as far as, how our government works. And it's to be debated, but in my opinion, it is probably the most perfect document ever written to establish government and establish rule of law over a people. It has its it has its flaws, right? Certainly it does, and there are some things that were probably left out that I wished had been in there, such as term limits, right? But despite all that, it was an inspired document, and these men sat down and they wrote this with divine inspiration, is my thought and opinion on it. Now, while we're talking about divine inspiration, let's talk for just a moment. For those of you who are believers, please smash that like button now. Help me out. But for those of you that are believers or who have ever read the Bible, you know that the Bible spells out fairly clearly things that are going to transpire and take place in the end of time. And we are starting to see a lot of that take place now. So we know the end of days are coming because it's been prophesied. So, it shouldn't be any big surprise. But did you know, and even though that the Bible was written and these prophecies took place thousands of years ago, are you aware that there's more modern day prophecy? I'm a believer that an individual can receive inspiration or prophecy, whatever word you want to call it. They can receive inspiration for themselves or for their family. And they use this as a tool to kind of guide their thoughts and their decision makings. I also believe that ecclesiastical leaders can receive inspiration or prophecy, again, put whatever word there you want, over a large group of people or over entire nations and for the planet, right? So a little over 200 years ago, there was an ecclesiastical leader that prophesied. And he said one day the Constitution of the United States would be hanging by a thread. Now, this isn't very long after the Constitution was written, okay, and our country was established here. But he prophesied that there would one day come that the Constitution of the United States would be hanging by a thread. And I think we are fast approaching that. With everything that's happening in the world right now, and the attacks on the Constitution, and that the attacks on our society as a whole, as us as a people, it's being shredded, it's being torn down. Let's take a look at what transpired this week. Well, first, before we talk about what transpired with Justice Kavanaugh, let's back up even just a month. A little over a month, when the document was released that indicated the Supreme Court intended to overturn Roe versus Wade, people started going crazy, right? People started, really voicing their opinion and getting loud and belligerent about their beliefs that they want women to have the right to choose. And we're not going to talk about that in this video. But to the point where we have leaders of this country going to rallies and saying that Bret Kavanaugh has it coming. He's going to regret his decision, and publicly saying this about a Supreme Court justice. Now, the Supreme Court justice, or the Supreme Court, that's the most sacred institution in our country. And if you think of it that way for a moment, that they have more authority, and that office is more sacred than the office of the president, because they are the final judge here upon this land. They are the final say as to how the Constitution of the United States is applied, how laws are applied against the people or for the people. And you have to have that higher power, and you have to respect that final decision, because if you don't, it's complete chaos. No matter what you do in life, it's going to be complete chaos. You always have to have something or someone with the final say-so, because you can't have 350 million people in this country, all of them with a different opinion or different thought or different idea, and you'll never come together. Okay, everybody's just going to be going in different directions constantly. So you have to have that office, that institution, and you have to respect that institution, that they have the final say as to how the Constitution is or how laws are applied as they relate to the Constitution. That's why I say that that's the highest institution in the land, and we got to give them that respect. But now you have people that are attacking that institution and trying to tear it down because they disagree with the decisions that are being made. It doesn't fit their narrative. Remember what I just said about 350 million people in this country? Not everyone's going to have the same thoughts and ideas. So you can't have 350 million different, viewpoints going in different directions and think that we can be a society that moves forward. So now we have this crazy guy with weapons and tools to break into Bret Kavanaugh's house with intent to kill him. And he stated that to police when he was arrested a couple of days ago. That was his intent. The most sacred office in our land, 9 justices, and they're being attacked. And they have no protection, because the very people that are attacking them are also responsible for passing laws and funding their protection, and they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they haven't done it. They haven't acted upon the bills that have been submitted to try to get passed in order to provide the funding, in order to provide the security that these men and women need and deserve. They're just leaving them hang out to dry. They're feeding them to the wolves because they disagree with their decision, because their decisions don't always or exactly align with other people's beliefs. This is where it's at. This is where we break down. This is where our society stops moving forward. We've already stopped moving forward. But this is where all hell breaks loose. Get ready for it, because it's going to happen. If we don't have a course correction, it's going to happen. It's going to happen very soon. You think the riots of 2020 were bad? Where all heck broke loose? Where rule of law broke down? People were just pretty much doing whatever they wanted to do? We see that today in cities all across the United States, where laws are not being upheld. Criminals are not being held accountable. Criminals are being let out of jail. They're committing heinous crimes, and they're getting let out with no bail or very small bail until their trial dates, and they go out and they continue to commit crimes. You've got people who are just brazenly attacking others in the streets. That's where we're headed. Only it's going to be in a society where there's absolutely no law enforcement. There's no governance of any kind And it's really going to be every man, woman, and child for themselves. That's where we're headed. You need to get ready for it. You need to prepare for that. I released a video a couple of days ago talking about how much is enough. Go watch that video. How much is enough that you need to prepare for. When we're facing with something like this, there's no coming out on the other side. So you have to prepare for the long term. And that's going to be another video I release here in just a little while, but that's probably coming out today. But there's more than just 6 months worth of preps or a year's worth of preps. You got to think long term. You got to think, the rest of your life, because that's where this is headed. Let me know in the comments what you think. Should the justices be offered protection? Should they be given protection? Let me know what you think. I'd be curious to know. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps this channel. That's appreciated. That's all I've got for this video. I'll see you in the next one.